Yeah. I wonder if there's someone out there that's like, yeah, Last of Us is this game that my dad played. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did you watch it? Are you current? Did you
Yeah.
do it? Nice.
Yeah. I did. I did. I finally did. I caught up. I caught up like basically it was Sunday night and I was doing the podcast shit, and then like at a certain point I was like, all right, I need to just like start Last of Us and like really, I'd not started it or not start it, but
You
like,
didn't want to be the Last of Us to finish.
yeah, I saw the internet going crazy already, and I
Yeah.
was like, all right, I can't.
Dude, I mean, the one thing that was like a little bit disappointing in terms of reception, and this is, I mean, not actually disappointing, but like the Oscars were happening at the same time. So like we didn't get that like Sunday night moment where you like log on to Twitter and like everybody's talking about it. But it was awesome.
And it still exceeded like viewer count.
Oh yeah,
You
it did.
know,
It
like
grew every single week.
yeah,
There was a week that it technically dropped, but they counted Friday through Sunday for the Super
yeah.
Bowl.
So then it technically grew.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
we're gonna spoilers from here on out.
Yeah.
If that
Yeah.
'cause I gotta
We're
talk
getting
about the
into it
Sunday.
because we got to go back. Like we got to go back to Sam and Henry.
yeah.
Um,
Well, my takeaway, and I haven't played the games, but I knew this ending was coming.
so yeah,
And
what all did you know about Last of Us going into the
I
show?
knew the ending.
You
and
knew,
I know
you
parts
just
of
knew that
2.
he was gonna
Yes,
shoot up the hospital
I've seen that
and take
scene.
Ellie.
I've seen that scene played.
Okay.
But my takeaway from the difference from the game, at least for me, from the show, is that when you're playing it, you're sort of forced to do all of this stuff, right? Like you're forced to kill and rescue Ellie, but it's because like Joel doesn't have a choice. Like if you understand Joel's character, like that's what Joel would do no matter what.
Yeah.
And I think they do a great job of setting that up in the show.
Yeah.
They like foreshadow with a few different scenarios where somebody makes like a morally gray choice, but it's the right choice for them, regardless of if you're looking at it from an outside perspective, like with Nick Frank and
Bill and Frank. Yeah,
Bill and
yeah.
Frank. Like you could make the argument that it was kind of messed up that he killed himself with Frank or Bill. You know what I'm saying? Like, but also like that was the right choice for him. You know what I mean? And like the show sets up a few different like same with Sam and Henry. Like that's a dark, messed up choice, but like the circumstances and the way the world is in that moment, like it's the only choice that seemed right for them. I don't know. So like there's like these like setups of like impossible, difficult decision scenarios that like you're like, damn, I get why he had to do that or like why he did that, um, in a way that like it's shown. I think in the video game, like you're playing the guy, so like it hits that way. But like I think the show pulled it off too.
Okay, and then all right. Look, so with the Sam and Henry, I mean that was Henry having. I mean Sam's the kid, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Whichever one is the adult. I mean he had to eliminate the kid.
Yep.
What is more selfish about that than those other decisions?
Well, I meant that he also took his own life.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the morally great
Okay.
decision there. Not that he killed the kid.
Okay.
Like he had to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, like I think in that process, he was like, I can't.
Yeah. I can't go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To carry that. And I think as like a viewer, you're like, that's like a horrible, terrible thing. But like you empathize with why.
Yeah, and this show, it's funny seeing like people react to this because like in the game, it's a lot less real. You know what I mean? It's a game too. Like that's the one thing about bringing this to video. It like feels more real
Yeah.
and it feels more morally bad. You know what I mean? Like people, I mean, I don't think people are like. I mean, I don't think there's anyone like, I really, I'd be off the internet so much that like. I don't know what the talk of it is, but I can't. It doesn't seem like there's like a 50-50 split of like people with Joel and people with not with Joel. It's people just enjoying the story for the most part.
I think for the most part too, people are more just like processing that decision.
Yeah.
They're not like trying to say Joel's right or wrong, or the
Yeah.
Fireflies are right or wrong. Because honestly, I saw some good arguments against the Fireflies.
Yeah.
It's like, who's this doctor?
Yeah.
Like, how
That's what
long
I'm
has
saying.
he
They're
been a
like they're like,
doctor?
the one girl that's cured. Y'all just gonna kill her
Like
instantly?
and like how fungal infections work.
Yeah.
Like that would not have likely turned out a vaccine for it.
Yeah.
And so then it would have been like for nothing.
Yeah.
And like, shouldn't she get to live out a life for something? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think ultimately what's messed up about the whole scenario is that Ellie gets no say in it.
Yeah.
And like knowing like what's about to happen and like what could come from it, and like she doesn't get to make that decision. Like the Fireflies make it for her, and Joel makes it for her.
I do think there's something to say about the game. You know, you really spend time with Ellie in the game.
I mean, in this show too, I think Bella Ramsey like did
She
like
phenomenal.
Her humor and the interactions between Joel and Ellie were just perfect. Pedro and Bella killed it.
No, they nailed it. I just all I'm saying is that in the game you do get to spend a lot more time with them too.
Yeah. Well, and like the other part about the game too is you are them. You know what I mean? Like you are. It's not like you're watching them live it. Like you are living it with them or as them.
But it is a cutscene based game too, so there is a lot of watching too as well. But there is something about like in the game, it's almost like the ending of it is all, and maybe I was younger and more naive, playing it, but it's almost more undeniably the right choice. You know what I mean? In this, it is a little bit like harder to say it's the right choice, but it's also, there's good arguments on both sides, but it's with the show, it's easier to have the conversation on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the game, you do feel a little bit more like, oh fuck no. There's just something more with it all.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is because like you do it. Like you're the one that pulls the trigger.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Maybe. But I feel like even just the getting to Philly or getting or wherever it is, like is it Philly they're going to? I forget where they're going.
No, it's like
Pittsburgh,
Utah.
Okay.
Isn't it?
Yeah, Salt Lake City or
something.
something. Yeah.
Because they have to go out. They go up and then down.
Either way, when you get there, there's just like eerie feelings too. There's just all this shit that starts to like change. You know what I mean? And then there's like
it's kind of interesting because like in terms of, like of a video game, like
Yeah.
usually you get into the end like you're about to have the big boss fight,
Yeah.
and like
But all right, and we're jumping too, because that's why I wanted to start with Sam and Henry and work our
sorry.
way up too, because I mean honestly, all right, yeah. To go back a little bit, yeah. Let's slow down. I'm sorry. To go back a little bit after Sam and Henry, it like that episode ends. Or what is the next episode?
and like they even set up like there's even the Sam and Henry thing to even go on back to like foreshadowing stuff. The Yellow Jacket, the lady from Yellow
Yeah.
Jackets, like her decision to chase after Sam and Henry was also another gray decision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, I get it, they killed your brother, and like
Yeah.
you are like a leader of this community rebellion thing, and
That's the other thing too. It's like,
but also why are you going after Sam and Henry? There's
yeah. But also, it's like, why, it's like, yeah, look at everybody in this fucking world. It's like, why has Joel got to be the only one that's the moral leader? I'm just kidding, what I mean? But, like,
that's, I mean, honestly, and not to keep jumping, but, like, for the first half, you're like, all right, you guys keep talking about this Joel guy being a morally questionable man. And then you get to the episode where he wakes up from being sick, and he just, like, is torturing the dudes and just, like, pow, pow, pow. And you're like, okay, I get it now.
No, I mean, honestly, from the jump, like, he, and Sarah was looking at, he hit the grandma quick on the first episode. He was running people over from the jump. Like, he was willing to shoot people day one. You know what I mean?
I think the one moment that he hesitated
I know. Yeah, of course. That cost him everything. So that definitely...
He's like, I gotta be 100% from now on.
That made him willing to shoot, but even before that, he was willing to run over some people. You know what I mean, to get the fuck out of a situation. And and that's like, I just remember seeing that and being like, yo, this is kind of crazy. Like already off the bat, he's ready. But no, so it ends with Sam and Henry, and when they walk away from that, that's when. Wait, no, they have the run in. And that's how Joel gets stabbed. Is that right after Sam and Henry?
No.
Is there a whole episode after Sam and Henry before that run-in where Joel gets stabbed and then that turns into that winter?
Yeah. They go to, there's 2 episodes, I think.
There's not 2.
Maybe 1.
Sam and Henry is like 4 and 5.
Sam and Henry. Then
And
they
then
go
it's
to
6.
they go to see his brother.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Then they get to see his brother. Then they leave from
Yeah.
there, and then he gets stabbed at the end of that
Yeah.
episode.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's that whole episode, and he was gonna send her with Tommy, and
He's like, nope, I'll
It-
go.
yeah, it's pretty. Yeah. Okay.
I think like in general, one of my only complaint is like the lack of zombies in the last half,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, they from the get go, the show is clear that it's not about the zombies; it's about the people.
Yeah. Someone brought up there's like 2 things you can always pick up off the ground, and it's bricks and bottles, and you can throw them to distract clickers and shit like that. And someone said, yeah, it's fucked up that these weren't in the game.
Yeah, but they did give you when I was watching with people who play the game, and when they did the ladder thing in the last episode, people were
You're
like,
still jumping. You're
"Sorry,
jumping. You're jumping because that's my favorite moment. That might be
Okay.
one of my favorite moments in the whole show. But yeah, you're right. But what do you think about when it came to the winter time? Like that whole shit is so crazy. Like that
Dude,
whole
I was
moment
so
in the
nervous.
game is so insane, like so intense. Whenever it's like when he falls off that damn horse, and then you're like, "Fuck, it's up to Ellie now."
Yeah.
Like, and that's like, and it seems like it in the game. You definitely like. I don't know, the time jump, like she spent a winter, like there was like it was some time that she spent.
Well, it was kind of wild because then she's using all the stuff that Joel taught her, and I know that's the time that you start to get to play as her,
Yeah.
and that's cool. And then, honestly, some of the most fucked up shit was that episode where
Dude.
like she's running in with those.
That's the boss fight right there.
Yeah,
You know, we were talking about the boss fight, but that bar scene is the boss fight of the game, if you
Yeah.
ask me. And like that part of the story, yeah, because you're playing as Ellie, you're going through this thing, you're like, what the fuck is going on?
And there's like this setup too, because you run into like, and I keep referring to it as his brother's town. I refer to it as the Hallmark Village of The Last of Us, because
Just
it
the
is
happy
kind of,
place,
it
yeah.
is like so happy and like it's Christmas time. But like you see that and you're like, okay, so like maybe there are people out there that have their own little societies that are working out,
Yeah.
and you're like, maybe this guy is chill, even though he's giving me weird vibes from the jump on these like rations. I was like, I know what you're. I instantly I was like, this is not good.
Yeah.
But yes, that all of that was like intense and scary, and she handled it well for the most part.
Yeah.
And it was cool that the one guy, the voice of Joel, was.
Was he the bad guy?
He was the brother or whatever.
Okay. I knew he was in it, and I just didn't recognize which person he was. And
Yeah, he gets like.
And Ellie's voice actor played her mom for
And
the
that was
last episode.
awesome.
Um,
Not to jump.
yeah, that was me. My bad.
But we're getting there.
Yeah.
I feel like we're getting there.
But no, but that bar scene literally is so like I don't know if you've seen any of those clips of the game,
I have only seen like little comparisons now.
but it's so vividly like fuck. You feel like you're like this is the best video game adaptation.
Well, that dude was just yelling and freaked out, and it's like a slow reveal on his character. Like you kind of get weird vibes from him, and then it's like, oh shit, he's a cannibal.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh shit, he's a cannibal pedophile.
Yeah.
Oh shit, he's a cannibal pedophile murderer, and he's
Yeah.
coming for her.
Yeah.
And you're like, Ellie.
Girl.
Please.
Fucking buck up right now. You got this.
And she really
Yeah.
bucks up, and you're like, oh, Ellie, wait. And then like, Joel just like grabbing her right after that, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It was like, damn, they both just did some like crazy stuff. But
Yeah.
at least they're together now.
Yeah. I guess here's where my complaint comes in. I don't like the jump from that to the final episode. It feels very quick into the ending of it.
I'll give you that. Because when I was watching it, one of my takeaways was like, damn, like there's been a really sudden switch. Like not Bella, but Ellie is very quiet and like very solemn, and Joel is like, I'm gonna tell you everything about my life now, just right now. And I guess like that makes sense too. And I've been in moments like that too, where like suddenly like you like feel good to open up, and you're just like, this feels so good, I'm just gonna keep opening up.
Yeah. I do think that there's a sense of like, because I think he really opens up after the hospital incident. There is that sense of he's noticing her distance before that, but after the hospital, that's when he wants to talk about Sarah. That's when he wants to talk about everything for real. But I think that is like a sense of like, oh fuck, now that like there's this secret. I have to keep you as close as I can, and like I know this is gonna do that, you know, like
Yeah.
and she can sense that too. Like they really pulled that off well. Like her sense of like not believing it, you know what I mean? Just her being able to like ask that question of like, you know, what the fuck happened? But
Yeah. It's kind of interesting because they're having that conversation before the hospital, and he's like, essentially like, I found my purpose again, and like, in his mind is like his purpose is making sure that Ellie lives a full, long, wonderful life, but like Tess was like, and everybody was intending for his purpose to be get Ellie to the hospital, but if like you find your purpose and you lose it again,
yeah,
I get the tensions and the struggles.
yeah.
As a video game player, how did you think the adaptation worked?
So good. And we're there now. I guess we'll, you know, I guess we can always come back to the Storm Reed episode, but like the ladder scene is and I was and you know, I think I brought it up on the pod. Maybe I didn't bring it up in the pod, but I brought it up in real life, but I was waiting for the giraffe scene the
Yeah,
whole time. Like the giraffe scene was
it
like
was awesome.
I'm like if they don't put the fucking giraffe in this show, I'm going to be upset.
And like I didn't know I was watching if they were real or fake or not, but the one thing I was like, she's feeding that thing, it's real. Like
Yeah.
there's no how would you make that?
Yeah.
You'd have to edit the grass in her hand into the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That technically would just be like a lot of
I mean,
animation.
something could clamp onto it and pull it out, and you could probably like edit the
Probably,
food.
but it wouldn't. I don't know. It just looked so real, and then I was like, "Oh my god, it was real."
Yeah,
Oh.
everyone was like, "Oh, this giraffe's fake as hell," and then like that photo came out. Yeah,
My first thought as a non-video game player was like, "Damn, are they about to ride these things?"
yeah.
They didn't ride them.
But the ladder scene is very crucial because that is the game. You know, just the, you know, like throwing Ellie
They
up.
throw it out, and she drops the ladder, and you can climb up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that moment too, specifically where she's like, you know, she's like a kid throughout it the whole time, where she's just kind of like goofy. That's part of Ellie's charm is that like she just has fun during all this like tragic shit sometimes. Like,
Yeah, just loves to pull out the puns.
yeah, you know, and then like, but when she drops the ladder, you know what I mean? And it's just like, holy shit, you got to see this, and then run, and you're like, fuck, like you have to like get to her quick, and
Yeah.
then it's the goddamn giraffe, and you're like, oh my god, like. The fact that they did that was beautiful.
And it was like one last beautiful moment, and she's like, she gets the little line about the view again, and you're like, "Damn."
and even like I think like going back to the bar scene, like that, just comparing that to the video game, like it's like holy shit, like you couldn't ask for anything. Like really, like if you think about this, right? If you think about a lot of video game stuff, like most of it, you know how most of it was really bad for a long time. You know, like I think Detective Pikachu did all right. It could have done a lot better, but it was like an all right like video game adaptation in a way. But it's not even, you know, I never even played that game, so it's like it's not like they did Red.
Yeah.
You know, Red and Blue, like the movie. You know, like
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a way, like Pokemon the anime is a video game adaptation.
true. But
You know
if
what I
they
mean?
did like a live,
Yeah. But I
action
know
of
what you
it.
mean. I know. What
But
you
like
mean.
the live action shit, you know, like I mean, I'm trying to even think about like what other ones they've done. Like what ones have they done that have been like terrible?
Video game ones.
Yeah.
Oh man. Like wasn't Resident Evil?
Yeah.
recently?
Okay. Yeah. So there's a lot of those, and like I don't even, well, I don't know those games, and I don't know, but it seems like movies just tended to like not include shit from the games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just as simple as that. They
Yeah.
just wouldn't
Well,
include cool shit from the games.
I think part of it too is that like The Last of Us is a great video game.
Yeah.
Like it just like it's perfect for it.
True. I was thinking about that too. It's just, I mean, this game is a movie. That's how you would describe this game 10 years ago
But
when
then,
you play
like,
it
you
for
also-
the first time.
Now that I'm thinking about it, you look at and same video game company and like should be same level of deliverability. Uncharted didn't hit as well.
Yeah. And I think Uncharted had some good cues to the video games, but
Yeah. Dude, it was funny seeing like a video from the Oscars, and it's like not like any publication camera, just somebody's iPhone. It's Pedro walking through, and you could just see all the male actors like turning and like giving him like not a side eye, but you know, like being like, "Oh, he's the big man in the room now."
I saw someone's tweet being like, "How the hell you expect me to watch Pedro on the Oscars right now, knowing damn well he's shooting up a hospital on HBO Max at this same moment?"
Well, but to be fair, you know, like 95% of the people he shot were soldiers, but then you know that
Yeah.
the doctor was not a soldier, but he threaten him with the scalpel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I don't think that'll be important though in the next season. I don't think that'll matter.
to go back to even the adaptation thing, like the Storm Reed episode though, gotta talk about that a little bit.
Which one is that?
You know,
Who's Storm Reed?
the girl from Euphoria, Zendaya's sister,
Oh my gosh, why?
Riley.
I just completely forgot about that episode.
Riley.
I completely forgot about that episode. Dude, it's crazy to me that they made a set. It's funny that we're talking about this in this order because this is the real video game order. We're talking about the DLC now.
Yeah, I know. Well, I want to do this before because I do want to like really talk about the ending.
I saw somebody said something like Storm Reed's always playing like a character like watching I think what'd they say? Something like yelling and going crazy around, and they like showed a clip of like Ellie bashing it up, and then like Zendaya like bashing up the house, and she's just like sitting in a room.
Yeah.
I thought it was crazy, amazing that they made a whole set for them all. Like that set was incredible.
Yeah, and it's just people haven't tried it, but that's like a very specific vibe too of like the 2003 arcade mall.
Yes.
Like that's a very specific thing. That is like the like mid to late 90s arcade, like
Foot Locker.
neon. Like the noise of it too was very like I'm like they had to have just like really studied footage of like 90s like arcade, like I mean of course they did, but like just the sound of it, I'm like wow, this is like very distinctive. Like
part of me feels like they pulled off that whole set too because they were able to be like, yo, Victoria's Secret, you want to pay us a little bit?
You were mentioning that on an old pod about 8 Crazy Nights and like and I remember being like talking about Starbucks and HBO because I'm like they got a serious problem, but that was funny seeing that like all the old stores and shit. And
they had a GameStop, they had all those fast food places.
I'm surprised they didn't put like EB Games in it. That would have been sick if they did that.
It would have been funny if it would have been a Spirit Halloween.
Yeah,
they couldn't afford the Spirit Halloween.
But yeah, but that episode was great. Them doing like the DLC to it, like, and giving. I like the 2 flashback episodes.
They're good.
It
builds the world, and it like makes you have a perspective on like what it would have been like to grow up in this world, and like feel nostalgic for like the things we take for granted.
Yeah. Yeah, and they just had to try to break your heart one more time before the final.
They did. They really just like they gave us some amazing, like, gay relationships, and then they just took them from us each time over and over again. And it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Apparently, Nick Offerman's wife refers to him as Episode 3 at home.
Mega Funny. Oh my god.
Oh.
Yeah, I was rewatching Ashes, like rewatches of those, and just like reliving the show already after it. And I'm like, oh my god, this show.
It was awesome. I mean, like, and it had a lot of crossover. Like, people watched it more than House of Dragons.
Yeah.
And that's wild. HBO's on an impressive run right now.
But so to finish off the ending of it, the hospital, apparently there's some figures that got out.
Really?
Yeah, implying, like there's proof that other Fireflies were in there that survived, that got away. And then of course they had to zoom in on Doctor's head.
Yeah. I don't think he's important though, right? Like he's just
he's important.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I know who the Doctor is.
Yeah, okay.
But I'll leave it as a mystery for our viewers that haven't.
I mean, because you don't know the story of part 2, right? You know something. You know a major element of it.
No, I know what happens. I know the story because I've seen a bunch of reviews. I watched Junkies and Naked JKs.
Damn.
But I'm excited to play it. I don't remember it all the way detailed, and I don't know the people. I don't know all the full details. I just know some of them.
You be like, you want to avoid spoilers of certain movies, but
I never thought
that's like one of the greatest stories ever.
I never
told.
thought that. Well, I don't think the spoilers take away how good the story is and how much I appreciate the story.
True, but you don't get to experience it in full and just like unknowing. I play. Well, I don't. Maybe I talked about this, but I played through that game, and I had just played Last of Us Part 1 like a week before Part 2 came out during COVID. It was just COVID. Just sitting at home playing games, And then part 2 comes out, and I started playing it, and I literally played it. Ian and Nick watched it. We had other people over, like,
Dude, it's kind of interesting because I've heard like multiple people be like, "Yeah, it was COVID," and I just like played through one, then I had to play through two,
yeah,
and I was like, "Damn, this was a lot of people's COVID game."
yeah, oh yeah. It was. I mean, yeah, it was a COVID release, so it makes sense. But like the first one, I beat it in like 15 hours, and then I'm like 15 hours into the first one, and I'm like, holy shit, like, and then you feel like the game just ends.
Yeah. Well,
And then it rushes back to the very beginning of the game, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? Like, you just get to see different perspectives of things.
that's yeah. Well, and like I know that the next part two is going to be multiple seasons. They haven't said how many yet. But the
It'll,
one thing that I'll say
it'll
that I
probably be
think
two.
was interesting, like going back to foreshadowing stuff. You know, like when they're in Kansas City and Joel kills the guy, they're all like, "Oh my God, Bobby's dead," or whatever his name is, and then she's like, eventually, you know, Yellow Jackets lady, like they killed Bobby, like, and you get a sense of like the deaths matter, and then you know, like in the winter season, she's like, "Yeah, you know, three of our guys were out, and one of them got killed by some guy and a girl,"
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh no!" Like more things coming back to get him.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm sure that there's nothing that's gonna come from
Yeah.
Joel's actions.
Yeah.
They're gonna live in Hallmark land forever. The next is a rom com.
Dude, in the second game, this has nothing to do with anything, but like there's like a point where like literally like some like dogs will come after you. You know what I mean? And like if you or like a dog specific in like just in the gameplay. Like this isn't a cutscene or anything. Within the gameplay, like you hear barking and like you can kill this dog or you cannot kill this dog. You know what I mean? Just like you could shoot everybody or maybe you can sneak past him, run past him.
Yeah,
But killing that dog just like will bring up like just dialogue and gameplay later on into
that's
the
cool.
game.
That's cool.
You know,
I'm
and
definitely gonna play both of them.
yeah, it's so interesting like the subtle details in the game specifically, like especially in part 2 of just like how shit you play, you know, like the first part, you know, affects it. Like I don't know, it's very interesting the way they do that.
I feel like it's a one of a kind game.
Definitely.